How's it going, everybody? Pilot Flame, we're back with another video, and today it's preseason patch note time. Season 10 is upon us, patch 9.23, the beginning of the preseason changes. We're going to be diving straight into those notes right here. We got the league music running. I'm just going to adjust my camera just a touch here to make sure we can see everything going on. The room's a bit dark today. It's a bit of a colder weather scene outside today. But now let's get straight in. Let's look at these patch notes here. Hopefully the zoom's right. Looks to be. Of course, we got the Riot music playing. And let's get right into it. So 9.23. Welcome to preseason. Hope you're ready for some big shakeups to the Rift, expansions, overhauls to multiple item systems, and a major rework to a bunch of keystones. In respects, this is our most ambitious preseason in years, and we're excited to see what new picks and strategies develop in a world where the map itself changes during the game. As usual, the next couple of months will be all about establishing and stabilizing the new meta as we head into the start of the new season, so that now it's time to jump in if you want to be ahead of the curve when rank kicks in off in the new year. If you want to look at TFT, go to this link here. I'll be looking at that later, but that's something that's not as important. It's not as important. Best of luck to all your preseason matches, and read through this wall of patch notes. So this is a video I've already watched. It basically just kind of outlines things very briefly. We got the Pulsefire Thresh skin here. Victorious Aatrox will be introduced if you received gold last season, and the prestigious edition of Thresh. Can't really see it. It doesn't have a clickable image, but maybe it's down the bottom. We'll be able to check that out. So end of season, like they said, Victorious Aatrox looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'll be getting it on the accounts that I have, just because all you have to do is get gold or higher. Okay, Elemental Rifts. So we've read about this, we know pretty much what it's all about, but for those that don't know, I'll read the flavor text as well. So this preseason we'll be adding more game-to-game variety and opportunities to master the Rift after the second Elemental Drake of the game dies. So on kill of the second dragon, there will be a change in the terrain of the Rift, basically. It will be one of the two dragons that has not spawned as well. That's something that's keep in note. So let's say hypothetically a cloud dragon has spawned, and then the ocean dragon was the second one to spawn. When that one dies, depending on if it changes to a mountain or an infernal, would depend on what the map changes to. And then from then on, it will only spawn those dragons. That's something we need to take a look at. So same as the element of the third elemental drake. So like we said, if an elemental drake of infernal spawns, it will do things like this. It will open the mouth pit of the actual dragon pit itself, and then it will also break down walls and burn bushes around the buff objectives there. So the brushes nearest the blue and red buff will burn away, and new paths will open up through the red and blue buff. The entrance of the dragon pit will also widen, as we said. So it makes new paths for these sorts of things. The mountain dragon will create extra tight spaces and will give opportunities for big AoE wombo combos. Create rock formation in front of the dragon pit. So as we can see here, there's a rock formation there. And then if we look at, oh, that's the ocean one, sorry. It basically tucks this one in a little bit and then creates another rock here, and there's one right here as well, and that mirrors on all sides. The ocean dragon will then spawn more brush around the jungle, making them grow larger, and then also honey fruits will spawn in certain parts of the map as well. So if we look here, we can see the brushes spawn in the dragon pit, a bigger brush here as well. We can also see that the brush is as wide as the area here. I believe honey fruits also are going to spawn here. I want to say here. I can't remember, but there will be more honey fruits spawning as well. Spawn near the buff camps. There you go. The water pools are puddled throughout the jungle. Cloud Rift. So basically, it'll create a air current of just more movement speed in those areas, as well as in around the buff areas, as well. You can see by the white wisps that you'll gain more move speed around there. It's like a wind tunnel in some effect. In terms of what else is changing on the map as well, we'll also be seeing the side lane alcoves also changing. This will no longer just be a flat wall. You'll actually have a pathway in here One thing to note, if you ward this, it will show this area here. So it'll cut off where the area starts to go green again. So it's pretty good. So you can't just ward this, and you have to ward this and this in order to see both ways. You can technically just ward the entrance here, and you can see one side of it, I guess. So that's going to be interesting to see how people play around it. It's in both bot and top lane. This is what it looks like in bottom lane here. Another cool interaction that we also saw was Bard can actually tunnel directly back to his turret from this alcove, so pretty cool. So new alcoves have been carved into the outer corners of top and bot lane. There are now 3 patch brushes instead of 2 long patch brushes, mirroring both in bot and top lane, so they're both identical. New brushes will also appear in by the blue buff quadrant, so right here on the ramp, so both of them. And here's the mirrored image on the other side here. Just adding some more diversity to the map itself. So now we have to figure out what. With these elemental drakes, they're now implementing the dragon souls. So basically, what the dragon souls do is once you have on your 4th dragon kill. So once you've killed 4 dragons total as a team, let's say hypothetically you get the 4 first dragons in the game. So let's say it's ocean, then cloud, then mountain, which will change the map to a mountain, and then after that only mountains will spawn, because once the dragon that changes the map spawns, it will only spawn those afterwards. So let's say you go cloud, or ocean, cloud, mountain, and then a 4th mountain spawn, you kill that one, you will get the mountain dragon soul, because that's the majority of the ones you have. So most likely whatever dragon, the dragon that you will kill 3rd, or thereafter, will be the dragon soul for your team. And that's the only dragon soul you get. Once a team obtains the dragon soul, no one else can obtain it. So the first team to slay 4 elemental dragons guarantees the dragon soul. The elder dragon will begin spawning after a team obtains the dragon soul. So the elder dragon completely separate from the actual dragon soul and the elemental dragons. It has completely different buff as well, which we will see. So the infernal dragon soul, what it does is, so the infernal dragon itself, we'll actually look at the buffs first. We'll see what the buffs do, and then we'll go back to that. So the infernal dragon buff, you can only get a max of 4 of any dragon. So in a hypothetical scenario, let's say you get ocean dragon rolls, and red side gets that. A cloud dragon rolls, and red side gets that. A mountain dragon rolls, and red side gets that. And then 4 mountain dragons spawn, and the blue side gets all 4 of them. You can only get the max of 4 stacks. So for Infernal, it's attack damage and ability power. So its rank 2 is the same as what the rank 1 is, and its rank 3 is slightly weaker than its rank 2, and its rank 4 is significantly weaker than its rank 3. So not as powerful, but if stacked up can be as close to what it was when you had 3 Infernals before. 5, 10, 15, 20% attack damage and ability power. Still quite strong. Mountain Dragon, so instead of dealing true damage to monsters and turrets, does something completely differently. It's a more defensive dragon. You get 8% armor and MR per stack, so obviously very good for champions with high base armor and MR, so typically tanks can be quite good with this. You can also make squishier champions quite difficult to kill. Especially ones that can maybe build like an off tank, so like Lucian as an example. Builds Blade of the Ruined King, builds Black Cleaver, can be looking at building some a bit of extra health if he gets a GA as well. Then you're looking at a pretty tanky champion to take down, one that's dashing around a lot and very hard to handle. And once we see the actual the soul that you get for that as well, another method as to increase your tankiness as well. The Ocean, it went from, so instead of 6, 9, 12% missing in mana regen when you are not in combat for 8 seconds, it's now 5, 10, 15, 20% missing health regen, no mana regen, only health regen, and it's whether you're in combat or out of combat, doesn't matter. So quite powerful at rank 1 in its own right. It is very, very good. I've had some experiences with it on the PB, and it's quite strong even at just a rank 1. Moving on to the Cloud Dragon. So the Cloud Dragon doesn't give you bonus movement speed at all, whether you're in or out of combat. It now gives ult CDR. So it ignores the CDR cap. So, if in some wacky world where the Cloud Dragon is the 3rd one to spawn, right? you have, let's say it's Infernal Mountain Cloud. So let's say blue side gets the Infernal, the mountain, and the first cloud, and then red side gets 4 clouds in a row and gets the soul. They have 40% ultimate CDR, which ignores the CDR cap. So you can have 45% CDR from your runes and your items. And then you can also have 40% on, so you can have 85% off your ult, which is a bit insane. That is pretty insane for especially champions that are, you know, may have a lower ult cooldown. Maybe they can use it once every rotation. So like as an example, I'm thinking Lux. Imagine Lux with an 85% CDR on her ult. Like that's completely bonkers. It's basically just another CD. It's going to be like a 6-second cooldown or something insane. So really, really crazy. So if we go back to what the souls actually do, so basically Infernal, every 3 seconds your next damaging ability or attack on an enemy unit triggers a small explosion dealing X amount of damage, and it scales off of your bonus attack damage, your flat ability power, and your bonus health. So if you're a tank, you still have the ability to get something out of the Infernal Dragon, whereas before, if you're building full tank stats, Infernal Dragon didn't really help you as much, but now you still get a bit of something out of it because it scales off of bonus health, which is quite nice. We have the Mountain Soul, so after not taking damage for 5 seconds, you get a shield which scales off of your attack damage, your ability power, and your health. Think of Malphite Shield as an example. The Ocean Soul, after damaging enemies, you heal for X amount of damage, and restores mana over 3 seconds. Damage to minions and monsters they regenerate at 30% effectiveness, so not as strong as just whacking minions. So it's effectively lifesteal and mana vamp when hitting champions. So this can obviously be super powerful with a poke composition. You could basically seemingly infinitely sustain. So you're going to have 2 Ocean Dragons to have 10% out of, or 10% just missing health, just regen in general. It's going to be quite powerful. And then you're going to have this on top of it, which just makes the sustain even crazier. If we go to the Cloud Soul, you gain passive 10% increased move speed. You just get that straight off the bat, and then after casting your ultimate, you gain 30% move speed for 3 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. So pretty cool overall, the buffs. I think the potential one to be the most powerful could be Ocean and Infernal. Obviously, when you're ahead with an Infernal Dragon, you know, it can add up to quite a bit of damage, especially with the splash damage for champions that wouldn't necessarily have AoE or a great deal. It can help out quite a bit. So we've gone through the buffs here. In terms of the HP values of the dragon, so the HP values of the dragon are lower. For starters, the first 3 drakes are always unique, like we mentioned before, and then the subsequent drakes will be the same element. Its initial spawn is 5 minutes, like normal, and will respawn until 4 drakes have been slain by one team, so a dragon soul is obtained. So the dragon's buffs are a bit weaker. They're dropping the health, so the dragons themselves early on are going to be easier to kill. So if you could solo them before at level 4 with Vi, or Master Yi, or whoever, whatever jungler, Shyvana, this is a good way to basically help your team out, because the buffs by themselves, you know, can be somewhat powerful depending on the team comp, but not as powerful as what they were before. Will then be stacking up upon each other, and then will gradually become out of control, especially when you get the Dragon Soul, which is a powerful buff in its own right. So what does the Elder Dragon do? So the Elder Dragon now spawns when somebody obtains a Dragon Soul. So only one team can have a Dragon Soul. There can only be one type of Dragon Soul in the game. So what does the Elder Dragon do? So the Elder Dragon still damages enemies with that burn that we had before, but it's just a flat burn from what it was before. It no longer reveals them. It's just now it's just damaging enemies at less than 20% causes them to die in an Elder Immolation after 0.5 seconds. So basically, it's an execute at 20%. So it can execute enemies through invulnerabilities like Zonias and that sort of stuff. It says that it doesn't actually, it says the burn was removed. A second time longer increases the element of vulnerability. No, I'm pretty sure it's still, yeah, burn damage, yeah. 90 to 275 true damage over 3 seconds. So it looks like the burn damage is higher at, so from previously, if you had 2 elemental dragons and got infernal, it'll be the exact same as what you had before. So it's gonna work out. The burn's gonna be about even-ish. If you had 3 or 4 dragons, that's gonna be slightly less powerful. But again, the execute is what makes up for it. The buff is 3 minutes long instead of 2.5 minutes, and it is still eradicated basically once you have once you die in the game. And then the spawn rules is that 6 minutes after one team kills the 4th elemental dragon, a 6-minute respawn. So basically, once the dragon soul spawn, 6 minutes from then, it'll spawn. If you kill it, 6 minutes from then, with a 3-minute buff, it'll come back after that as well. Baron buff, making Elder and Baron the same duration. It's fine by me. They basically want them to be both equal on either sides of the map. Since they are both unique objectives, they have no ties to anything else really, apart from Baron somewhat tying to the Rift Herald timer, and the Elder Dragon tying to the fact that someone has killed a dragon soul. That's about it. So the buff visuals have slightly changed. So it's going to look a bit different. So this picture here is going to show all the different buffs. So when you have no buff, you'll look like this top right one. When you have red buff, which is kind of hard for me to see because I'm partially colorblind, but you'll have like these fiery looking things around you. When you have blue buff, you'll have these like bluish rocks around you. When you have the Elder Dragon, you'll have this white wispy stuff underneath you. When you have Baron, you'll have this purpley void looking stuff, and when you have all of them, it'll look like a mumbo jumbo nonsense. But the buffs for the actual dragons will look like this. It'll be a ring on the very outside with the logo. So if it's ocean, it'll have that like off-whitish circle thing with the cloud. It'll have like the 3 wings. With the mountain, it'll have like the 2 stones, and the infernal will have like this little fire emblem. So the Rift Herald's also seeing a change as well. We're going to see it spawn at 8 minutes instead of 10 minutes, and it actually has a respawn timer of 6 minutes as well. So the health values of the Rift Herald has gone down, and will basically equal out around level 12. It has a slightly lower attack speed, so it's easier to poke the eye. But yeah, you can get 2 Rift Heralds in the game. The pickup window is shorter by half, and the channel for the Rift Herald is only 1 second long, so it's going to be a lot harder to interrupt if you see somebody doing it. So the Herald level is depending on when you pick up the Eye of the Herald. So the health of it is going to be lower initially, and will scale up to just slightly lower than what it was before. The damage that it will do is going to be somewhat comparable, but its self-help damage will take 66% of its curves to 25%. So it's going to be powerful when you get 2 of them, not as powerful when you just get the single one, but still will be a balancing act. Do we want to go for this Ocean Dragon, let's say, or do we want to get this Rift Herald so we can break top turret and get the value of the turret plates up there? It's going to be kind of a trade-off between those 2, and the fact that it respawns twice makes it a trade-off in a sense as well, because 2 dragons means the map changes, 2 Rift Heralds means potentially 2 turrets go down. Minion XP. So we're very lightly adjusting minion XP to slightly equalize the influence top and bot laners have on the game. Solo laners will level about 2% faster from minions. So in the grand scheme of things, is this going to mean you have to get an extra minion to level up? To like hit 6? No. Will it mean you'll need an extra, one less minion to get level 11? Maybe. It depends on how the percentages kind of how the values worked out from previously, while dual laners will level about 2% slower. So again, you're gonna be punished for dying in lane, for dual lanes for sure. Also, it says put another way, every 5 waves adds up to an extra caster minion for solo laners and 1 fewer for bot. Okay, so basically, every time you kill 5 waves in top lane now, it's as if you killed an extra caster minion worth of XP. And in bot lane, it's every time you kill 5 minion waves, it's like you had 1 less caster minion. So the XP for melee minions went up to 60.45 from 58.8. Caster minion went up by 0.32, and the canyon minion went up by 1 in solo lane. And then shared XP, this will be divided evenly among the champions. 75.4 down from 76.8, and the caster minion went to 37.12 from 38.4, and the canyon went from 120 to 116. So it does seem that dual lanes, they don't want them to be leveling as quickly. They want more emphasis that playing on your own, in a sense, your solo lane, you should be a higher level. Whether this means we have a massive disparity of top laners being like level 13 and having bot laners like level 9 or something like that. That could be really, really painful. I mean, AD carries, as we know, already in a spot where people are still experimenting with mages and that sort of thing. And there's only really 2 prominent AD carries in Kai'Sa and Xayah because of the way they can dodge bruisers and mages' abilities with their invulns or dashes. So we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. Obviously, it's still preseason, so they could still change these things before Season 10 actually kicks off. Turret plating. So they slightly buffed the turret plating, so from 25 to 35 armor magic resist per 3rd, 4th, and 5th attacker when the plate is destroyed. Okay, so turret plate's going to be a little bit tankier. Fine by that. I felt that they went down quite quick when there was a bunch of people there. Anyway, so a little bit extra defense is probably good. Doran Shield. Buffing Doran Shield's region to make up for a stronger option in melee versus ranged matchup. Okay. I thought Doran Shield was already pretty good, but we'll see how it pans out. So it's changed from 30 HP over 10 seconds when damaged by an enemy champion up to 40 HP over 8 seconds when damaged by an enemy champion based on missing health. 60% effective for ranged users or when triggered by AoE dot or proc effects. So you get the more HP up front, and it's only a third less. It's only a 2/3 useful if you're a ranged champion. So previously you would get 30 HP over 10 seconds when damaged by an enemy champion. If you're ranged now, it's gonna be, if I'm doing some quick math here, how many times does 3 go into 40? It goes once, and then it has 1 left over, and then it's 13 off of 40 thereabouts. So it's going to be about the same, 3 less HP, but you get it up front, so it's probably slightly better for ranged, and definitely better for melee champions. So it could change your role, I think. Jungle pacing. So we're incentivizing junglers to prioritize farming rather than just fitting camps in between ganks. Higher camp uptime ensures junglers have consistent access to golden XP on their side of the map, and the removal of catch-up XP steepens the cost of failed ganks. Since junglers will be able to clear their camps more frequently, we're reducing the golden experience a full clear grant so they don't take over the games. Okay. We're also ensuring both sides of the jungle get junglers to level 3 in their first clear, something that they mentioned previously. So when you kill blue, gromp, and wolves, you'll hit level 3. If you kill raptors, red buff, and golems, you will also hit level 3. So jungle item XP. So junglers items no longer grant additional XP on monster kill if you're behind in levels. Epic monsters still innately have catch-up XP though. So your first camp XP is just higher, but they removed catch-up XP for when you're behind in levels. Okay, sure. Camp timers. So we have a small camp respawn of 2 minutes. It seems everything's actually 2 minutes from what I know. So if your team had vision of a small camp when it was killed, you'll see the respawn icon 15 seconds before respawn. So the yellow icon, the buff camp respawn icons are now 15 seconds as well. Okay, so it's 15 instead of 20 seconds. So you have to be you still have to manage when your stuff's coming up, when you're going to get your rubber banded camps. So you got to pay attention to those. So base XP for the Krugs is 160. Ancient Krug first clip penalty removed. And then the base gold is 120. So the XP of the Merc Wolves went down slightly. Base gold down slightly. The Grump base health went up by 300 and its XP went up. And its base gold went up as well. The Raptors went down in both XP and gold. So overall, your first clear will get you level 3 with 3 camps, which is not the same as what happened before. Which means junglers that are dangerous with all 3 abilities, thinking early game like attacking, like offensive-minded junglers, the likes of Xin Zhao, the likes of potentially a Jax, a Zac, all these sorts of engaged style junglers that can go in, they can CC you, they can go in, they can do a good bit of damage, especially when having all 3 abilities. Can be quite scary. It's also scary for the likes of someone that can duel you in the jungle as well. Someone like a Rek'Sai, a Lee Sin, they're also very good at ganking. They can also be quite scary in dueling purposes. This is also scary for farm junglers as well, because if they are dueling them, they would have normally been able to be on level, or maybe a level ahead. Now the farm jungler could just straight outpace the aggressive jungler if pathing correctly. That's something we have to kind of pay attention to. If you go watch Freak's patch notes or LS's patch notes, LS will probably touch on this because this will be something more in his wheelhouse in terms of what the XP overall changes mean. To me, it looks like better early, tapers off late. You'll still be looking at your rubber banded camps to generate your XP and propel you through the levels, but it looks like the XP from being behind in levels is removed. So catch up XP is just once you're behind, that's it. Like it's over for you. You just got outplayed basically. In that case, or you made too many poor ganks, or that sort of thing. Lethality items. So though the item system currently has 3 lethality options, ADS has an overwhelmingly favor Duskblade and Youmuu's, and typically skip Edge of Night. This means that a lot of the sameness in terms of how it feels, one game feels relative to the next. We're adding 2 new options and reworking Edge to give Assassin players more ways to adapt their build in each game. Okay, so let's see what they did. So Duskblade of Drakthar, gold still changed, attack damage up by 5, okay, lethality unchanged, cooldown reduction unchanged. So it has a unique passive, Night Stalker. After being unseen for 1 second, your basic attack deals 30 to 150 damage from level 1 through 8, and it basically roots the target effectively. Melee attacks slow the target if you are melee. And then it no longer has the remove wards ability, so they put that into a new item. So this is the item where this is your Talon item. This is your potentially your any type of AD pick assassin, where you're going to be coming over a wall, you're going to be flanking around the back, you're going to be trying to assassinate that one person, and you need that little bit of extra damage to get them down. Youmuu's. It's literally the same except for 1 quality of life buff. Still buy it if you want to go fast. We're already putting this for the ease of comparison. So basically, Youmuu's active now ignores unit collisions, so that's quite nice. So when you're all-inning someone on Zed, as an example, if you're all-inning someone on Talon, you can't get blocked by minions creep blocking you. So that's quite a nice change. All the different stats are the same. So Edge of Night. So what have they done to Edge of Night? So they removed the channel cast of Night's Veil, and now it's the unique passive called Spell Shield. Grants a spell shield that blocks the next enemy ability, so it has the same unique passive as far as I'm aware as Banshee's Veil, so it's going to basically work in the same way. It's going to cost 100 less gold than what it did before. It's going to have 5 less attack damage. It's going to have 8 less lethality, but it's going to gain 75 HP. So no, it's going to be your defensive option. If you're gonna still go full lethality, this will be obviously included in your build. This is going to be something that you're going to be building, I guess, as your choice over maybe like a Sterix, a PD, a GA. It's one of those things where you can basically kind of choose. So if the team's all squishy, you don't necessarily need a GA. You can use something like Edge of Night, where it's going to give you more lethality. It's going to make it easier to kill them. If you have the potential of getting, bursted down, and you could potentially get a rotation of cooldowns off again, you go for the likes of a GA. If you feel that you need to be able to sustain a lot longer, Edge of Night's probably not the go-to. You'll probably go for something like a Sterix, or you go for a Cleaver if you're going to go for the more penetration. So this is just a different flavor on it. I think people will pick this item up. You may even see the likes of this over something like a Banshee's Veil on Kaisa potentially. Not sure if Banshee's Veil favors her better because it has 10% CDR on it, but it still grants the spell shield. It grants her lethality, which is armor pen for her Q, and her auto attacks. It gives her a little bit of extra survivability, and it also gives her AD as well. So could be interesting to see people building this item, not just on the AD assassins. Sanguine Blade. So this is our first of the 2 new items. So it's going to cost 3k gold. It's going to build a Serrated Dirk, a Vamp Scepter, and 1,000 gold. So not the greatest build path in the world, because you have to save up 1,000 gold. Typically items that have less than that are usually quite manageable. That's kind of my gripe with Righteous Glory as an example. You have to save up 1,100 gold. So let's see what it gives you. 50 attack damage, 10 lethality, okay. 15% lifesteal, so it's not as high lethality base versus the likes of Yomu's Ghostblade or Dustblade. So Dustblade has the highest lethality base. So let's see what his passive is. So unique passive, Blood Pursuit. While near one or fewer visible enemy champions, so basically when you're in a 1v1, you're in a side lane of some kind, you gain 8 lethality. Okay, so it goes up to the likes of Yomu's Ghostblade. And you get 40 to 100% attack speed, level 1 through 18, decaying over 3 seconds if other champions get too close. So if you're fighting somebody 1v1 and somebody comes in, let's say 2 seconds in the fight, it's only going to be 5 seconds in the fight that these buffs fall off, basically. So this is definitely a side lane. This is a very sustain heavy item. You're going to be wanting this on somebody that potentially has a decent auto attack speed. And even not, you could build it on somebody who has very high burst potential that can benefit from attack speed and split pushing. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to look at. So this is definitely something that you're going to be looking for, maybe a 1-3-1 split push item. Looking at Zed, again looking at Talon. You may even see, who knows, the likes of Aurelia or Jax building this item, just because of the passive itself. It could be something that could be used here. Umbral Glaive, so this is the second one. So the stats aren't very high. It's the cheapest out of all the items at 2,400 gold. And basically you want to pick it up if you're looking to be a bit more supportive. So this I can see being an item on Senna, who was just released. Her AD values are quite good, and her base damages do a good bit of damage for something that's supposed to be considered a support. And it has a feature in it that's support-esque. So let's see what it builds out of. So Serrated Dark, double longsword, and 600 gold. So it can clog your inventory a little bit, but it is a cheaper item, so quite good there. 50 attack damage. So comparing that to Sanguine Blade, identical. 12 lethality, so you get 2 base lethality higher. You get to 10% CDR, which you don't get with Sanguine Blade. So basically you're trading 15% lifesteal for 2 lethality and 10% CDR. And then you get when an enemy ward is spotted, it reveals traps and disables them for 8 seconds with a 45-second cooldown. During this time, basic attacks instantly kill disabled traps and deal triple damage to wards. So quite good. So basically, if you're hitting a regular ward, it one-shots it. If you're hitting a pink ward, it will take 2 autos. If you're hitting a Team Mushroom or a Jin Trap, it will one-shot those as well. So again, very, 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 very strong item for its price point. Like I said, I can see this being used on the likes of Pyke as well. Very good passive for him to be able to maneuver around the map. Senna, as an example, very supportive item, gets the CDR. Want to be able to use her ult more, want to be able to use her Q more. Very effective there. overall a really strong item. I think it's definitely the two new additions are going to see some play for sure. Yomu's staying the same, obviously still going to be quite good. Dustblade still going to be used for the champions that use it, and Edge of Night could be used by things that are more not just AD assassins. So Serrated Dirk. So basically, they removed the Headhunter passive, so your next damage spell no longer deals 40 bonus damage after you kill an enemy. So typically what you wanted to do was like kill a minion, and then you go and fight the enemy champion. So 40 less damage. Is it the be all end all? I mean, it's bonus physical damage. How much damage is it really doing? Maybe a third of an auto attack. Will it be noticeable where somebody lives on, the 2 HP? Yeah, probably in some games. Probably happened in the first game that I played, but who knows. Probably not the end of the world, but since they're getting an overall power up, they just wanted to make the item completion of Dirk not as strong, but they wanted the completion of the lethality items as a whole, once you finish that and get that power spike, to be quite high. So next, support items. So what they're changing is they're refreshing support items they're not as poachable by solo laners. So they're going to have quests in them now, like they did before. However, the support items are going to upgrade for free as you complete the quests. So let's see what they say. So support items will have 3 tiers, but the upgrades will be automatically free after completing their quest. So they start at 400 gold. So you're going to be able to buy these items, as well as 2 potions off the start of the game, like you were before, and you earn gold with Tribute or Spoils of War stacks. Tribute stacks, we'll think of the Frostfang from before. Spoils of War, we'll think of Targons from before. So at tier 2, you get increased stats and you get the war charges, just like you did before, and you earn gold with Tribute and Spoils of War to upgrade. And then at tier 3, you significantly get increased stats and you get 4 war charges, and then the Tribute or Spoils of War go away. So once you have completed the support item, you no longer can split minions, you can no longer poke people for gold, you'll just have passive gold generation on the item. So what are they doing to basically mitigate the the poaching? So like why wouldn't I build this on a Vlad or something and just scale up and get 1 billion gold? Why wouldn't I do this on a Gangplank? Why can't I buy all of them and just put on a Gangplank? So what are they going to do? So farming more than 20 CS per 5 minutes, 3 waves out of 10, reduces gold from minions by 50%. So basically you get half the gold than what you would. The penalty increases further with further CS to a max of 80% reduction at 50 minions. So once the penalty kicks in, your CS gold your CS gold is reduced to 70 minus CS within 5 minutes. So that's the calculation there. So basically, if somebody, let's say your 80 carry dies, a couple waves get pushed into your turret, you CS the best you can, let's say you get 5 of them, 6 of them, let's say you get a wave. Your gold's not going to get reduced. It's only if you're going around the map, you kill somebody and then you tax a wave, and then you tax this wave and you tax that wave. Everyone's had those supports where they're just like, I'm done with my 80 carry, I'm just going to go and take the entire wave, So if somebody dies or you make it back to lane before your 80 carry, last hitting a couple minions under the turret is not going to be the be-all end-all. It's just once you CS 3 out of 10 waves, then that's when it starts to become a problem. Or more than 3 out of 10 waves. So that could be something to where you won't be able to get any benefit about this. Another thing is that this probably also works, because it says 20 CS per 5 minutes. This also works, so you probably can't build this on a jungler either, because every time you kill a camp, it's 4 CS. If you kill your full side of your jungle in the first 4 minutes, you've killed Gromp is 4 CS, Blue Buff is 4 CS, Wolves are 4 CS, Raptors are 4 CS, Red Buff's 4 CS. That's 20 CS right there, 5 times 4 being 20. And then once you kill the golems, you're going to get 50% reduced gold. So I assume it's going to work that way too. At least I hope it does, because otherwise you'll have junglers building the items as well. So, Spell Thieves. So they've increased the icons. Okay, so tribute no longer deals damage. Okay, so both the users won't be contributing as much to early skirmishes. Okay, and the new anti-poaching rules lets you rip out tributes nearby ally requirement and charge rate CS penalty. So yeah, basically you can just do what you did before using the same line, except it's not going to do what it did with the bonus damage. So previously what it did, damaging spells and attacks against champions or buildings deal 13, upgraded 18 bonus magic damage, and if hit grant X amount of gold, 11 upgraded 22, and you gain a charge every so often. Now the base gold is going to be 15 rather than 11, and it's going to gain a charge every 10 seconds up to 3 charges. Same as the charge rate is the same as before. But you're going to be getting slightly more gold per stack. So it's 400 gold, 8 ability power instead of 10. You gain 10 health. Not going to be anything special, really. No longer grants mana regen. That's a big change. That is a big change from what they had before. You gain 2 gold per 10 from the item. That hasn't changed. And then when earning 500 gold from this item, it transforms into Frostfang, just like it did before. Except you had to buy the item rather than it transforming automatically. So what's the difference in the second tier? So ability power is 5 less. You get 70 health up from the 10. You still don't get the mana regen. You do not get the CDR, and the gold per 10 goes up by 1. And you still get the same amount of gold every time you damage a spell. And then you obviously get the warding passive. And then once you get 1,000 gold total through tribute, so a total of 1,500 gold, it'll get to the Shard of True Ice, which will give you from 35 ability power to 60 ability power, 50 less health. It still does not give you the mana regen. It does not give you CDR. The gold per 10 still stays high at 3 over 2 charges, and then you lose the when I damage somebody I get gold. So basically your power spike is going to be when your support item is complete, because you're going to have wards, you're going to have the most stats you're going to have from the item, but your gold is going to start to taper off. So it's an interesting way in how they're power curving supports. So before, if you were ahead as a support, you got more ahead basically. You were able to just basically keep going, keep generating gold, keep splitting minions, keep doing all these sorts of things, and then just going around one-shotting people. Especially if you were a mage. Now it's going to be, you're going to hit a peak, and then you're going to taper off. So it seems like what they want is they want the support and jungler to be these high impact initial, and then slowly taper off as the game goes on, where they want the mid laners and the top laner to be kind of steady Eddie and have their variant power spikes in the game, and the 80 carry is just like an exponential curve. Once it hits that 3, 4, 5 items, that's when it's going to be like, insane in the game. Which is an interesting way to take it. It's kind of been that way already, except with the fact that supports and junglers being that much more overpowering. So they're going to have to get that balance right, because if it's something to where even with these items, once they hit this power spike, the support's still able to one-shot people, but it's even earlier in the game, then it's something that, is going to be quite bad. Because 25 ability power is quite noticeable. The mana regen will be noticeable, so it'll be more damage, not as much sustain. So let's see what they went with as well. So in terms of the physical damage aggressive line, we have Spectral Sickle, Harrowing Crescent, and Black Mist Scythe. So they get 5, 10, and 35 AD, 10, 70, and 150 HP. So this is the more offensive oriented ones is 60 AP and 35 AD. The HP values are still the same at 150. The gold per 10 is still the same as well. The number of wards is the same as well, and the gold generation is the exact same. So if you're AP and you're aggressive, so you're a Zyra, you're a Brand, you're that sort of thing, you're going to go the Spell Thief's Edge up to the Shard of True Ice. If you're potentially someone that's more aggressive, you're going to build excuse me, need a sip of water here. I've been talking too much. So if you're going to be playing Senna or someone like that, excuse me. Damn. There we go. We're all good now, I think. Now we're good. Okay. So getting back on track here, if you're playing Senna, you're going to build this item. Gives you a lot of AD. You're going to use that. You may use this on Pike. You may use the HP one. We'll have to see. So now I have the Relic Shield line of things. So now, while near an ally, basic attack execute minions below 50% of their max health, 30% for ranged, and grant your ally kill gold. These effects recharge every 45 seconds, a max of 3 charges. So basically, the amount of gold that you gain is the same as what there is for the minion, and then you gain the stack once every 45 seconds. It's 400 gold like the rest of them. The tank one is 30 HP, 100 HP, 300 HP, and the Relic Shield line is now AP oriented, so it's 5 AP, 10 AP, 40 AP, and it does scale the 1 to 2. It's now 2 gold per 10, 3 gold per 10, and then the 3 gold per 10 at the max. So all of them have the same passive gold. The HP is 20 lower than the aggressive AP, but has 150 more health. Does not give CDR, does not give health regen. So how do you basically access this? So while nearby an ally, basic attack to execute a minion below 50%, so there's no penalty for range on the first Relic Shield. So your first 500 gold is the same as if you're melee. Execute threshold of 50% of whatever the minion's max health is. Once you get that 500 gold, it'll go to Targon's Buckler, where you will see a 30% execute range for ranged, 50% still for melee. So it's going to be better for ranged early, worse for them in the mid line. So yeah, pretty straightforward. What will you see this on? So you're gonna see this on tanky champions that revolve around their AP. So will you see this on the likes of potentially Alistair? He may go with the AD one. You may see this on the likes of Leona, as an example. Probably scales decently with AP. Also probably decently with AD as well. What else could we see? Maybe a support Maokai could go with something like this. Support Malphite, as an example, could be another option here as well. Support Pantheon will potentially go with the Pauldrons of Whiterok line here, which is Rune Steel Spolders at the mid level and Steel Shoulder Guards at the base level. So it's the same thing, except it goes to 300 health like before, but it has 30 health to start, 100 health, and 300, and it has 380, 680, and 24 AD. So quite a unique balance that they have going on here. So 300 is the cap for HP. For the higher health ones, 150 is the lower cap. And then in terms of AD, it's 35 versus 24. So you basically are trading 11 AD for 150 HP, whereas in the AP side, you're trading 20 AP for 150 HP. Now, Ancient Coin being removed entirely. They don't want it to be in the game. They want the balance of aggressive AP AD, defensive AP AD. Alright, so now, what are they doing with some of the items? So now that you have the ability to just go about your business and get the items that you need for your champion, rather than having to worry about, you know, spending your item on your support item. What are we gonna do to the support items surrounding them? So Shirelia's Reverie is going down by 200 gold. We are also looking at the fact that, there we go, that's a little bit brighter. We are looking at it's 200 gold cheaper. Forbidden Idol plus Crystalline Bracer plus 600 gold. So before it was Kindle Gem, Aether Wisp, Fairy Gold, Fairy Charm. So really weird recipe. So now it's going to give you 100 extra HP, which is quite nice. Cooldown reduction, mana regen still on there. It's going to give you the healed and shield power and the health regen, so very nice. But it's no longer going to grant you ability power. So it's going to be a tankier engage item. It's not going to grant you movement speed, but it's going to grant the movement speed bonus in a bigger range for 3 seconds with a 90-second CD. So the active range is just 300 higher, and you sacrifice the 40 AP and the movement speed. So this is still going to be a very good item for supports like Karma, ones that are going to be doing those sorts of things there. Just going to turn on a light here. It's gotten a bit dark. Like I said, the weather's not the best outside, so you can probably see me a lot better. And also I can put back on this as well. We put on Flux because we use it. It makes it so it doesn't hurt our eyes. Anyway, back from the advertisement. Energized and crit items. So, Energized. Zap. Damage from energized effects now stack rather than choosing the highest damage source. Okay, so incentivizing building energized items. Okay, sure. Keep moving. Energized charges from movement speed increased by 20%. Charges from attacking reduced by 50%. Okay. Energized effects not always work on turrets. Another useful thing to know as well. So they're basically looking at basically the struggle to differentiate the energized builds from the traditional crit, giving static shiv and rapid fire to occupy spaces that only energized items is Storm Razor. So basically a trend is they're trying to simplify the passives and kind of stack them together, as it were, I guess. So what are they doing to Storm Razor? Storm Razor is 100 more gold. Builds out of the same items except Longsword has been swapped out for a Cloak of Agility, and has a 450 gold cheaper recipe cost. It'll have 5 less AD. It gains 25% crit chance. Attack speed gets halved from 30% to 15%, and its energized damage goes up to 120 from 50. So it's a 75% slow that is non-decaying, that's half a second long, from 40% decaying over 1.5 seconds. And it's no longer amplified other energizing effects. Okay. So Storm Razor, very good first item. You're going to be seeing building this on crit 80 carries, potentially some that are very good at all-inning. So this could be a Kaisa item, again. Can be quite good, because it gives you both attack speed and AD towards your passives for your abilities. Could also be something that could be quite good on maybe a Jhin as well. Gives you crit, gives you AD, gives you bonus damage on your hit, and it also slows the enemy for 75% as well. So another bit of CC, whereas he can more reliably hit his W. Rapid fire cannon. So the energized damage is keeping the increased range to define its feature. But what it will do is the damage will be just flattened out at 120. So it no longer increases the rate at which it charges. So it's just going to be the I want extra range, ability, for that item. Static Shiv, again, same energized damage. The Shiv Lightning now bounces instead of 5 targets to 7 targets, and the lightning can no longer critically strike. So it's just a flat damage. It hits more targets, but not as powerful with crit. Cursed Shard is now 100 gold up, but the energized damage on it also goes up by 30 as well. Brawler's Gloves have been removed from the game. RIP Crit Gloves, you shall be missed. And instead, they're making Cloak of Agility the crit item to buy. It's now 25% chance instead of 20% chance. Zeo also will be affected by this and will be 1400 gold at a build out of a Cloak of Agility plus a dagger and 300 gold instead of a Brawler's Glove dagger and 500 gold. Its critical strike chance will go up by 10% from 15 to 25, and its attack speed will be dropped by 3%. Movement speed is also unchanged. Now, the sad things that we all must endure. Unfortunately, for those that thought you were going to be getting the Cloud buff with the ultimate CDR and Spear Surgeon in the same game, unfortunately not. So Spear Surgeon has been removed. It will still be available in ARAM, however. It was a very strong item, very hard to balance, and especially with the Cloud Dragon changes that they had imposed originally, which was CDR reduction on your abilities. They've since changed it to just give ult CDR and then movement speed after using your ult. It was a problematic item and needs to be removed from the game. It will not be missed, unfortunately. You can still use an ARAM. ZZ Portal. So ZZ Portal enables split push strategies that don't involve enough champion interaction. May revisit this type of strategic item in the future, but if we do, it'll be more risk for wielders to use. So Malzahar's W stacks have been renamed from Gathering Swarm to ZZ Swarm. Next patch, his W will also be renamed to ZZ Swarm. Oh, what a nice tribute. Now, Trick2G is not going to be too happy about this, unfortunately. This was one of his go-to items, as well as the Home Wrecker, So Home Wrecker has been underused and underpowered for a long time. Turret disabling is an interesting mechanic. We think we could have placed in League, but not potential to show up in a team's toolkit. So unfortunately they're just removed from the game. So the penetrating bullets passive on turrets has been renamed to Ohm Wrecker. Unfortunate. And then with removal of Ohm Wrecker and ZZ Portal, Raptor's Cloak has also been removed. The item set editor has been also cleaned up as well. Okay. And now onto runes. So Kleptomancy has been completely removed from the game. Alright, so no more just gold farming, no more poke down and get lucky, no more of that, I guess. They did this remove completely. I think it was somewhat problematic depending on the champion you were playing, and depending on the, you could be mid-fight and you can get a potion that saves you or allows you to sustain extra in lane. I think it was a bit problematic to balance overall, so I think removing it was the right decision. Prototype Omnistone. So enter Omnistone, a keystone meant to be Kleptomancy's spiritual successor. Like the elixir potion of Klepto's design, Omnistone is made to use what you got in the moment relative to the individual keystone it offers. Omnistone's advantage is that users can rapidly cycle through keystones that otherwise have much longer cooldowns. Okay, so basically you gain a random keystone from 8 to 4 seconds from level 1 through 8, and then for 12 to 8 seconds for ranged. So it scales down. Gain a new keystone while out of combat after 40 seconds of not using the keystone. Okay. Dark Harvest Souls still persist after getting a keystone and affect all other keystones. Grasp the Undying health persists after getting keystones too. So the keystones you can get are Press the Attack, Lethal Tempo, Fleet Footwork, Conqueror, Summon, Airy, Arcane, Comet, Phase Rush, Electrocute, Predator, only if you have boots. Dark Harvest Souls Souls amplify the effects of all the keystones. Interesting. Hail of Blades, Grasp the Undying Aftershock, only if you can trigger it on a basic ability, and Glacial Augmentation. So, that's pretty interesting. I mean, you have to think of what champions can actually use all of these sorts of, abilities. So you think of people that maybe shapeshift or do some sort of thing. I can see Jace using pretty much all of these. Glacial Augment after, using Yomu's Aftershock because he does have a actual CC ability. Grasp the Undying, granting permanent health, probably quite good. Hail of Blades, after using, after hitting somebody, he attacks stupid fast, and then he uses W, which makes it even faster. Pretty good on some champions. So we'll have to see kind of how that pans out. I also don't see any of these being bad on Ezreal, honestly. Could be quite useful as well. Conqueror. So Conqueror's been too effective and allowed sustained damage fighters to deal with tanks who have lost their place in solo lanes as a result. Removing the true damage conversion and changing the heal to post mitigation damage, so Conqueror does hard counter tanks, but buffing its adaptive force to keep strong. We're also changing Conqueror's range melee split, so ranged users are a bit less disadvantaged, though Conqueror remains a melee focused rune. So that's something that we have to kind of keep in mind as well. So we have to kind of pay attention to how Conqueror is going to play out as well. So let's see. No one converts things into true damage. Okay. 15% post mitigation damage against champions. Okay. Maximum stacks from 5 to 10. 2 per ability hit on melee and 1 for range, whereas it was 1 to 1 for both of them. 8 seconds is the stack duration for both melee and ranged. So once you hit those stacks as a range, you can still keep them up, but it takes 10 ability slash autos combined to get there. The adaptive force is lower. The max adaptive force is higher at max rank and the lowest rank as well because there's more stacks. Aftershock, a very problematic rune in my mind. A lot of people were taking it on the likes of Rakan and Pyke and just being able to build, damage or AP and just being able to one-shot people. So not necessarily one-shot in Rakan's case, but being quite a nuisance and being quite tanky at the same time. So what have they done? They lowered the resistances to flat 35, and they buffed the bonus resistances to plus 80% versus plus 50%. It's based on your bonus health, not your maximum health. Depends on the damage, so you need to build tank in order to get the effects of this item. And it has a 20-second CD instead of 35-second CD. So you'll be able to use more often in lane, but the resistances last for slightly longer than intended. That has been removed. That was a bug fix that they needed to change for a long time. So quite overall happy with this change. So basically once you get your first tank item, this is going to feel quite powerful. If we do some quick math, so let's say after your first item at level 6, you have, or we'll say, I won't even say the level, we'll just say you have 100 armor. So previously, you would get 50 plus 70, which is 120. If I had 100 armor, I would get 80 plus 35, which is 115. So it's pretty comparable around the 100 mark of the resist, and then we'll only go up after that. But also, it's based on bonus health, so it's not like somebody can just not build health and still gain damage. It will also depend on the item that you build as well. The 8% is going to be better because your flat HP overall will probably balance itself out. Probably Freak will have the numbers in his patch run down. I think this is a buff overall. It'll be slightly weaker early, which tanks are supposed to be not as strong super early. Once they get their first and second item, it will then be quite good on them. Presence of Mind has been changed, so it now restores 20% of your max mana or energy and increase your maximum mana by 100 up to 500, or your max energy by 10 up to 50. So quite interesting. Could be used on a on a ultimate or on a champion that is mana hungry or energy hungry in a sense. So it could be an item that Zed may use, or a rune that Zed may use. Sorry. And especially like they said with the Cloud Dragon changing and Ultimate Hunter doing what it does, having both this and Ultimate Hunter on the likes of Karthus is direct nerf to him. So could be useful. We'll have to see. Maybe the energy champions will probably go this mastery because it's also in the same tree as Coup de Grace as well, which is quite favorable. But it's also in the same line as Triumph, so we'll have to see. Nimbus Cloak. So, Nimbus Cloak is procced based on when you cast a summoner spell and not your ult. So you gain a set amount of movement speed for 2.5 seconds depending on summoner spell cooldown. If it's a longer cooldown, it's 35% movement speed, so if you use Flash or TP. So you basically get the effect of Home Guards when TPing or Flash. And if you use a medium cooldown, so Heal, Ignite, Cleanse, Exhaust, Ghost, or Barrier, you get 20% movement speed and 15% movement speed for Hex Splash, Smite, Zoe's W, or the ARAM Mark. And you just get the movement speed off of the Summoner spell. So it can be quite good when combined with Home Guard's 20 plus minutes with TP. So maybe seeing this on potential champions that can flank and do those sorts of things. So champions, Senna's launch launched pretty close to balance, and we're waiting to see how she shapes up in the new preseason world before issuing buffs/nerfs. Alternate modes are the exception since most of our changes won't cross over in other maps, and Senna's definitely showing up too hard there. So Senna no longer converts ability power from Spellthief's Edge into Adaptive Force, since she can just buy Spectral Sickle, and Senna no longer gains double miss stacks on air and earth and all those sorts of things. Okay, fair enough. Just some slight changes. Treeline Sunset. Twitch Treeline is officially retiring with 9.23. Thank you for every player who made Treeline their home over the years. Your awards will be distributed during the patch. As official players who play more than 10 games will get this. 50 games, 100 games. I'm not sure if that's in Twisted Treeline. I'm not too sure, but pretty cool icons. Essence Emporium. The Essence Emporium returns for preseason from November 26th to December 10th. Spend your blue essence on icons, chromas, and more, including Emporium exclusives like the Earthquake skins. They're bringing up stuff where you can spend it on specific items that you can only buy from Blue Essence. In terms of bug fixes, the camera no longer becoming locked if while dead. Okay, cool. The mute icon has been fixed. Okay. If Poppy stuns an enemy champion with E and then the enemy is then stunned by another effect during heroic charge on the second stun will no longer remove when heroic stun is expired. Okay, sure. Darius's W attack no longer hits through teammate's blinding dart when critically strikes. That would have been a bit problematic. If Garen's Q attack is cancelled due to the vision, he is no longer locked out of casting his E until his Q power when it ends. Okay. Spoils of War can now even be procced, is untargetable or in stasis. Okay, sure. W power attack no longer lasts indefinitely. Lol. Diana now properly gains stacks Conqueror. Okay. Dragon form Q now properly grants multiple stacks Conqueror. Okay. No longer displays zeros for every number. Yeah, that would be quite annoying, wouldn't it? So some true damage skin updates. They're just changing the border slightly in Echo's hair apparently. So let's see what these skins look like. So Pulse Fire Thrush, what are we getting here? Let me make this a little smaller so I can see the whole thing. I'm getting kind of a Predator vibe here, like a futuristic Predator. It's like Predator meets Tron in a sense. That's what it kind of looks like to me. The Prestige Edition just looks like an Arc-like version of that. The Victorious Aatrox. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks pretty cool. Kind of, he just basically looks like a skinnier version of Galio, in a sense. But yeah, quite interesting one there. Both look pretty cool. And that's Victorious Aatrox skin. So that's going to do it for the entire patch. I'm going to leave a link to this in the description. If you like the video, please sure to give us a thumbs up on it. Make sure to check out the patch. It should be coming out sometime soon, either end of today or tomorrow, I think. All these changes are going to be pretty fun. I've had a lot of fun playing with them on the PBE, and I look forward to the more balanced changes that they make in the future. And I can't wait to get on the Rift. So until the next time, take care.